I'm here to talk to you today about Save the Seeds Foundation and why it is an incredibly important nonprofit for you to have on your radar. We're going through a time right now where climate crisis is very real. Whether it's man-made or it's earth-made, the truth is that it's happening. There is not a scientist on the planet that disagrees with that. They might disagree with why it's happening, but we know that it is happening. As I am recording this right now, there is a thing going on called the polar vortexes. It's the end of January 2019, and the polar vortexes moved down from Antarctica and split into three. And right now, Chicago is colder than Antarctica or the summit of Mount Everest. And that is pretty wild. I've seen pictures of the river frozen right down the middle of the city. There's a lot going on right now. It's true. And we're all trying to find ways to fix it. And so there's been a real multi-pronged approach with trying to inform the people, make changes, and increase our odds of surviving comfortably through what is inevitable and what is coming right now. So that being said, Save the Seeds Foundation. Save the Seeds Foundation was created so that it could teach the populace how to plant, harvest, and replant their seeds, saving the future generations of the seeds, because seeds are the absolute most important thing when it comes to our food supply. We've lost the cycle. Most people might have gardened with their grandparents, but a lot of people in this day and age have never even put their hands in the soil. They don't know where their food comes from. They're completely disconnected to it. We just went through a government shutdown, and during that government shutdown, the FDA shut down, and we've had listeria outbreaks, and we've had food recalled. Even Del Monte recalled canned corn because of a worry about botulism, because the FDA did not work during those 34 days that we were shut down. Now, that wouldn't be a problem for our food supply if we didn't get our food supply from mass producers of food. See, we get our food supply today from people that care more about our profits than they do about our health. We allow one of the biggest pharmaceutical companies to also run our fertilizer company. There's absolutely a disconnect between us and the food that we put in our body. How is Save the Seeds Foundation going to help change any of that? Multi-pronged approach. There's currently a seed vault up in the permafrost. Well, as the permafrost has been melting, the seed vault that was supposed to save our future generations of seeds in case anything happened, flooded, and part of the seeds were lost. Now, they made a change, they fixed things, but even if it had never flooded, those seeds that are in that vault, and though that vault is excellent and needs to keep working, like I said, multi-pronged approach. As long as those seeds are in stasis, they're not evolving with climate crisis. They're sitting there, waiting to be planted again, hoping that the conditions are the same to regrow them when it's time to put them back in the ground. Save the Seeds Foundation is a living seed library. What this means is it is constantly planting, harvesting, and replanting seeds so that they can evolve with climate change. Now, how is that going to translate to helping the world? Well, we've got mass agriculture right now. The problems with mass agriculture are that you have to use a lot of fertilizer, you have to use a lot of land. When you group up cows and you group up big plots of farming that you have to use poisons on and fertilizers on, and then the runoff gets into our water and we have algae blooms. It is a cascading effect, one after another, that leads us to be unhealthy and for our land and the world around us to be unsafe. The way that Save the Seeds Foundation is combating this is teaching small communities how to make local community gardens, how to work together, how to plant, how to harvest, how to save the seeds, how to turn what they have harvested into consumables that are non-perishable. We can save and put our foods away so that during the lean times we can take care of ourselves, because lean times come, and they come when we don't even know that they're going to come. Puerto Rico, we all know what just happened in Puerto Rico when they were refused aid and 6,000 people died. Those 6,000 people died because they weren't prepared. They didn't have food. They didn't have the ability, some of them for their medicine, some of them were elderly, but a lot of people starved to death. And a lot of people that lived, it was because they knew people that had planted food and had prepared for these times. So Save the Seeds Foundation is going to get us back together with our relationship with food. It's going to get us back to where we're touching our food and we know where it comes from. If each of us were growing our own food with our communities, we wouldn't need the FDA to make sure that there were not listeria outbreaks inside of our vegetables, which comes from the practices that large agriculture uses to water and take care of their vegetables and their farms. If every community had a community garden, not only would you all have the food that you needed to get yourself through the year, but you'd be growing your own money. And while growing your own money, because growing your own food is growing your own money, you would also be learning who your neighbors are. We blame video games and we blame movies and we blame violence, but the supermarket has stopped us from working as a community. We still go and see everyone there, and the supermarket is great. The supermarket, I hope, is around forever. But that being said, if you make sure to take care of your own food needs, then you don't need the supermarket, and the supermarket becomes a thing that is at your convenience. If the supermarket's gone, what happens to you? So the way that Save the Seeds Foundation takes care of this is they come up with plans, working with horticulturists and agriculturists and permaculturists to come up with designs and plans to give for free to local communities so that they can build their gardens. And then every year at the correct times, when it's time to harvest, when it's time to plant, when it's time to can, when it's time to get together with your community and do the weeding, we send you out information packets telling you when and how to do it. This is Save the Seeds calling. It's time for you to pick your carrots, and it's time for you to start canning those blackberries with your neighbors. And then we make sure that you know how to take care of yourself. By the time that you're done running this program that you were given for free from Save the Seeds Foundation, you're able to take care of yourself and your community, and you know your neighbors. There's no question anymore about what those people are doing behind the door because you see them. The only way that we breed fear is through ignorance, and ignorance comes through not knowing. I myself am a food source to these mosquitoes. The important thing right now is that Save the Seeds Foundation is getting its initial funding together to buy the land that it needs to do these projects. Garden after plot after different plot, using all kinds of different permaculture techniques to try to maximize how much food we can get out of small plots of land, while also teaching our people to be self-sufficient, how to save their seeds, and how to put them back in the ground. We work with the bees, we work with the people, and we work with the food to make sure that we can save our food supply. We are hitting this from so many different angles, and the point is to grow like a lotus into many different petals that help support the entire world. We're creating a framework that other people can look at and grow their own communities so that each neighborhood can sustain itself no matter what happens, now or in the future. If you've made it this far, then you're wondering what you can do to help. You can help save the food supply today by helping us. We are asking for at least $1 from every person who eats food. If every person on the planet who eats food gave us at least $1, not only would we change the world, we'd save the food supply today and for future generations to come. Blessings to you all, and let's save the world.